Jos Verstappen has one message for everyone reporting on his son's future. You know absolutely nothing. 4 words, posted in public, aimed straight at the claim that Red Bull have offered to tear the exit clause out of Max's contract and lock him down through the end of 2029. On the surface, that reads like a father shutting a rumor down. But look closer, because the timing does not add up. Max leaves for the summer break without giving Red Bull an answer. The clause is already live, and the clock on his decision is running. If there is really nothing going on, why is everyone around Max acting like there is? Max Verstappen is under contract to Red Bull until the end of 2028. Buried inside that contract is a performance clause, a line his own camp fought to include, that lets him walk away early if the team stops handing him a car worth staying for. That clause has a trigger, and this season, the trigger flips. To keep Max locked in, Red Bull have to keep him inside the top 2 of the Drivers' Championship by the time the season reaches its summer break. He reaches the break 6th, not 1st, not 2nd, not even 3rd, 6th, in a car that has not won a single race all year. Which means the one outcome Red Bull spent this entire season trying to dodge has finally arrived. The escape hatch is open, and the one man who understands exactly how that hatch works, Max's own father, is telling the world to stop talking about it. The end of July 2026, a report out of Germany lands with a very specific claim. Red Bull are not simply trying to keep Max, they are trying to rebuild the whole deal from scratch. The new offer stretches him past 2028 and out to the end of 2029. It comes with a raise on a salary already reported at around 65 million a year. And it carries one detail that matters far more than the money. The new contract deletes the exit clause completely. No trigger, no summer break maths ever again. On paper, that is Red Bull, offering their driver more security than he has held at any point in his career. But a raise on top of a salary already among the biggest in the sport is not how you treat a driver you feel safe about. It is how you treat one you are terrified of losing. And the same report is blunt about one thing. That offer has been sitting with Max's management for weeks. There is still no answer. A driver who is happy signs. A driver quietly weighing his options does exactly what Max is doing right now. Nothing. What comes next is the part that still does not make sense. This is not even the first move Red Bull have made. Earlier in the summer, the talk was smaller, that they might simply pay Max a fee to give up the clause and be done with it. That was never going to be enough. What is on the table now is far bigger. The men now steering the team principal Laurent Mekies and the executive above him, Oliver Mintzlaff, do not want the problem patched, they want it gone. And behind them sits Mark Mateschitz, the heir to the whole Red Bull empire, who reportedly just wants the uncertainty around his most valuable asset to end. So a fee became a full rewrite, and the rewrite became a years-long deal built to make the clause vanish for good. If you are wondering why a team would ever hand a driver this much power in the first place, so is half the paddock. Max asked for it, back when he was worried the new rules would leave Red Bull behind. He was right to worry. The clause he demanded to protect himself would come back to haunt the very team that agreed to it. But that is getting ahead of the story. Look at what the clause actually measures, because that is where the pressure lives. It does not care about race wins, or pole positions, or how the car feels on a Friday afternoon. It cares about a single number, where Max sits in the championship when the season hits its summer break. Stay inside the top 2, and the clause stays sealed. Slip outside it, and Max earns a window to walk out of a deal that is supposed to run for 3 more years. For most of Red Bull's dominant era, this was a formality. Max was never fighting for the top 2. He was first, usually by an embarrassing margin. This season, the number turns against him. After 11 rounds, he sits 6th on 109 points. The man leading the championship, Kimi Antonelli, sits on 219. That is a gap of 110 points, with no realistic path to close it before the break, because the break is already here. The clause is no longer a warning. It is open, and somehow, for Red Bull, it gets worse. The exact moment it opened is easy to pin down. Back in early July, at the British Grand Prix, Max crashed out and scored nothing. That was the race that made the maths impossible. From that Sunday on, there was no combination of results that could drag him back into the top 2 by the break. Red Bull knew it, Max knew it, and from that point the clause stopped being a line on paper and became a live option he could pull whenever he wanted. That was only round 1. Here is the detail that should trouble Red Bull the most. This has happened before, and last time it broke the other way. Go back to this exact weekend a year ago, the same Hungarian race, the same cloud of Mercedes rumors hanging over Max. Back then, he ended it himself. He stood in front of the cameras and said, out loud, that he was staying. The speculation died on the spot. This year, the same question arrives, and Max says almost nothing. He tells everyone there is nothing to say because there is nothing going on, calls the team a place that still feels like a second family, climbs into the car, and drives off into the break with the entire thing left wide open. Same driver, same weekend, opposite answer. And that switch, from a clear yes to a careful silence, is louder than anything he could have actually said. If you had walked through the Red Bull garage a few seasons ago and described this scene, they would have laughed you out of the building. This was the team that won everything, the benchmark the whole grid was chasing. That version of Red Bull is gone. Christian Horner, the boss who ran the team for 2 decades, was pushed out last summer. Helmut Marko, the man who discovered Max as a teenager and shielded him for years, has stepped away. The designer behind the great cars left for Aston Martin. The sporting director left for Audi. Even Max's own race engineer, the voice in his ear on every single lap, is heading to McLaren. Red Bull have even hired a new man away from Mercedes to run the young driver program Marko built from nothing. Another piece of the old machine quietly swapped out. One by one, every familiar face around Max has disappeared. The people who once made staying the easy choice are the exact people who left. That was a warning sign, and they are only now reacting to it. And it is not only the people. The car is a genuine problem. This season, Formula One tore up its rulebook and started over. New engines, new regulations, a complete reset. Max saw it coming and hated it. He called the new rules fundamentally flawed, warned they would produce racing nobody enjoys, and at one point openly wondered whether he even wanted to keep going under them. He was not being dramatic. He was reading the room. The team, now building their own engine in a brand new works partnership, got the reset wrong. The team that lapped the field for years now sits 4th in the constructors' standings, behind Mercedes, behind Ferrari, behind McLaren. Mercedes alone are more than 200 points ahead of them in a title they used to own without arguing. For a while, things looked like they might just about hold together. They did not. The empire did not fall in one dramatic moment. It leaked away, one engineer, 1/10 of a second, one lost race at a time. So, the team is scrambling. Behind the public calm, the people now running Red Bull are pushing hard to close the deal and end the uncertainty before it swallows the season. Max's manager keeps the same line every time he is asked. There is a contract until 2028. There have always been exit clauses, but they have never used one, and they have always been loyal, and they intend to stay that way. He had even floated, earlier in the summer, that a decision might come before the break. The break arrived right on schedule. The decision did not. His words sound like reassurance. Read them again, and they are doing something else. They confirm the clause is real, they confirm it can be used, and they very carefully refuse to promise that this is the year the family finally leaves it alone. The real question is what is happening behind closed doors. While Max stays silent, the rest of the grid has already made its moves. And this is where the whole drama runs into a wall. An escape clause is only worth something if there is somewhere to escape to. So look at the 2 seats a driver of Max's level would actually want. Mercedes is the team that chased him for 2 straight years. The team most people assume he would join. But Mercedes is winning now. Kimi Antonelli is leading the championship by 50 points. George Russell is 3rd. And Toto Wolff has already confirmed he is keeping both of them for next year. He has even taken up his option on Russell. That door is shut. McLaren is the other one, the team building the fastest car on the grid. Lando Norris just won in Hungary. Oscar Piastri is right behind him, and both are tied down on long contracts. That door is shut too. So the clause swings open, and Max looks out at a grid where every top seat already has a name on it. That should make him easy to keep. It does the opposite. A driver like Max does not wait for a door to open. He is the reason a door opens. Teams have torn up contracts before for far less than a 4-time champion suddenly on the market, and every seat that looks locked today is one phone call away from being reopened. People thought the full grid made this simple. It makes it more dangerous. There is even a third option nobody at Red Bull wants to say out loud. Max does not have to move to a rival at all. He has already hinted, more than once, that he could simply step away for a season if the racing stops being worth the trouble. And a driver who might walk away from the sport entirely is impossible to hold with money. You cannot outbid a man who is thinking about leaving the table altogether. It has not stopped the rumor mill either. During the break, Max is spotted holidaying in Italy in the same circles as Toto Wolff, and the photographs alone are enough to set the paddock talking all over again. But a holiday is not a contract. Plenty of seats have looked full right up until the moment a driver like Max decided he wanted one. And every day he spends unsigned is another day the whole paddock wonders which door he is about to knock down. Step back for a second, because this is bigger than one contract. Max Verstappen is not just a driver. He is the biggest name the sport has. A champion in his prime, The one man every rival team has quietly dreamed of signing for years. If that clause pulls and he walks, it does not only weaken Red Bull, it fires the most valuable free agent in modern Formula One out into a market that is not ready to catch him. Teams would rip up their own plans to make room. Sponsors would follow the name. The entire shape of the grid would bend around a single choice made by a single driver over one quiet summer. That is the weight now sitting on a contract clause most fans did not even know existed, which was either incredibly brave or incredibly stupid, depending on how this ends. Which is exactly why Red Bull are moving the way they are. Now the offer makes sense. They are not moving because of one specific rival offer sitting on a desk. They are moving because they can feel him slipping away, and because the calendar has become their enemy. Max does not have to decide today. Under the clause, he has until roughly the middle of October to tell Red Bull whether he is walking. That is the deadline nobody is putting on a graphic, and it is the one that actually matters. Everything between now and then is a negotiation over a choice he does not technically have to make yet. And here is the read that ties the whole thing together. Max is not a driver going nowhere. He is a driver keeping every single door open. He holds a clause that lets him leave, a team desperate to delete it, no rival seat actually available, and no reason on earth to sign anything before he absolutely has to. The silence is not indecision, the silence is leverage. If he signs the new deal today, he hands all of that power back for nothing. So he waits. Every week he waits, next season's car takes a little more shape, and he learns a little more about whether Red Bull can actually build him something to win in again. Signing now means betting blind. Waiting means seeing the hand before he has to play it. And Red Bull wait with him, watching a clock they cannot stop. If Max had simply answered the question at Hungary the way he did a year ago, this would be a very different story. So come back to Jos and his 4 words. You know absolutely nothing. Notice what he does not say. He does not say the reports are false. He does not say Max is staying. He says nobody knows a thing, and he is the one person who actually would. That is not a denial, that is a warning. Nobody outside that family knows what Max is going to do, because Max has made sure of it. And understand who is delivering that line. Jos Verstappen has always been his son's shield, the loudest and sharpest voice in the family, the man who warned 2 years ago that the team around Max was starting to crack. When Jos speaks, it is never aimed only at the media. It is a message to Red Bull too. 4 words that tell everyone watching that the family holds the cards, and that nobody else gets to write this ending for them. His father tells the paddock, there is nothing going on at the exact moment his son is holding the most valuable hand of his career and refusing to play it. The next real answer probably comes at Zandvoort, at Max's home race in the final weekend of August, where a decision would land in front of 100,000 Dutch fans screaming his name. Until then, the offer sits unsigned, the clause sits open, and the clock keeps ticking toward October. Red Bull built a car nobody could catch, then lost every person who built it, and now they are asking the one man they have left to promise he will stay, and he is saying nothing at all.